Hello everyone, Gammon here. So, while I don't know if going Epic exclusive hurt or helped Control, what I am almost sure of is that taking the exclusivity deal disproportionately hurt its sales. However, did it hurt them so much that the damage it caused was greater than the payoff they got from Epic? I honestly don't know, and nobody else does either. After all, we can't really know what would have happened in a parallel universe where 505 Games decided not to take the exclusivity deal. However, I think this is an interesting question, one I'd like to explore in this video, but first let's establish why I think Control is not doing well financially, and that's a bit of an understatement. While Control seems to be getting good reviews and the few people I know to have played it seem to enjoy the game, it hasn't managed to break into the NPD charts. On August, the month of its release, it failed to make the top 20 on the NPD charts despite it being a very low sales month. It ended up losing to games like Age of Wonders Planetfall and Man of Medan, games made by smaller, less known studios for a niche audience, and also games that didn't review as well as Control. While some people might say that the reason it didn't make it to the top 20 is because it was released fairly late in August, the chart for September was recently released, and as you can see in the NPD chart for September, Control is again nowhere to be found. And considering a game sells most of its copies in the first few weeks of its life, specifically the first week of its life, Control most probably bombed. I'm talking atom bomb here, it did not do well. Now, Remedy games, with the exception of Max Payne, have never been big sellers. But even for them, this seems like a very surprising flop. So why did Control sell less than games that got worse reviews and were not AAA games, games like Age of Wonders Planetfall and Man of Medan that, just like it, were aimed at a very small niche genre? Well, I could be wrong. I think it's because, unlike Control, these games are available on Steam. And while it is possible that being available on Steam wouldn't have had a big enough impact to eclipse the Epic exclusivity deal, here is my argument for why being on Steam would have helped Control sell a significant amount of copies. While it is true that Control is a multi-platform title and is available for sale on Xbox and PlayStation, and it is true that PC will probably always be a secondary market for most video games, for others like turn-based or real-time strategy games, MMOs and MOBAs, PC is still very much the primary market, and Control, with its focus on reading and exploration, seems to be more catered towards the PC market than the console market. And yes, I just insinuated console gamers can't read. Couple that with the fact that the Xbox hasn't been doing the best this generation and that they really fucked up porting the game to the PlayStation, and PC ends up being the only viable platform for a major commercial success. However, unlike some Epic Game Store exclusives like Borderlands 3, Control does not have the brand recognition or the hype behind it to get people to open up the Epic launcher, meaning it essentially cut itself off from, well, almost every single PC gamer. Because, okay, let's face it, even the people who do use Epic Game Store usually just open it up to either buy an exclusive game they're really hyped about, or download a free game and then, route the game so that they can run it through Steam. Nobody opens this store up and looks for new games to buy. There's not really, a lot of walk-in customers in Epic's storefront. And for a game like Control, a game that doesn't really have a AAA marketing budget, I feel like having word of mouth would probably have been, kinda super important. It's not an established brand, and Remedy is not the type of studio that can drive a ton of people to try one of their games just on the studio's reputation. Don't get me wrong, they obviously do have some hardcore fans from their Alan Wake and Max Payne days, but that's not nearly enough. Like I said, other than Max Payne, most of Remedy's games kinda flopped. They're not a Platinum or a FromSoft or a CD Projekt Red, and the amount of people that will buy a game just because it's a Remedy game, well, They're not enough to get their game to the NPD top 20 on the lowest sales month in years. They kinda needed their community of hardcore fans to drive sales for them, and they needed to make it really easy for their community to do that because, hey, guess what? Your fans aren't working for you. So things like a trending list, user reviews, user forums, these would have all been really useful to spread the word and spread word of mouth. And these are all features Epic doesn't have. Then again, it also doesn't have a shopping cart and it's been on the market for almost a year, so maybe we should all just kinda lower that bar. And obviously cutting yourself off from your primary market, and I do think PC for this type of niche game is a primary market, hurts your ability to generate word of mouth and get the hype train started. It actually hurts you in your secondary markets as well. People that would have played this game on PC and would have talked to their friends who perhaps play on console could have convinced them to pick up a copy on PlayStation or on Xbox. Though admittedly, like I said, on PlayStation it would have been hard because they really didn't do themselves justice with that port. Word of mouth is incredibly important for AA games because, well, they just don't have the type of marketing budget big AAA studios have. And having a lot of people talking about your game will absolutely drive sales. Well, assuming they're saying good things about it. However, by taking Epic's deal, they've essentially sequestered their game to consoles, which is probably why they're unable to create and maintain a core fan base, causing this game to go unnoticed and die with a whimper instead of a bang. Now, before I finish this video, I do want to address the idea I heard some people say that games that will go Epic exclusive can have a second release date when they come out on Steam. So, please understand, advertising is important. It's very important. It's also expensive. Some games and movies actually have a marketing budget that's equal to the budget of actually making the game or the film. For the Steam release to mean anything, they need to create a second advertising campaign and push the game into the zeitgeist once more. There's no way they're going to spend an amount equal to their production budget again on a game that has already flopped. Why would anyone do that? The game is already probably a major financial failure. There is no need for them to dig a deeper hole. While it is possible sales for Control will get a significant bump when it does end up on Steam, it's probably going to be way too little and way too late. There is just no way in hell Control is going to have a second advertising campaign for its Steam release unless the amount of money Epic gave them is truly astronomical. And because it didn't manage to create a large dedicated fan base, they don't have fans to advertise the game's arrival on Steam either, meaning most people, myself included, won't even notice or care when the game comes out on Steam. And that's without mentioning that by the time it does end up on Steam, it's going to be competing with other games that are brand new and have a lot of hype behind them and are using money to, advertise the game. So yeah, like I mentioned in my piracy is more moral than using the Epic Game Store video, I honestly think Epic is going to end up hurting a lot of developers that are taking this deal. It's pretty much a poison pill, and I think Remedy may be the first major victim of Epic game poisoning. Now, I could be wrong. It's possible that this game would have flopped no matter what. It's absolutely possible that the Epic Game Store money ended up helping Remedy instead of hurting them, because they never would have made any money on this game unless Epic would have paid them off. But I doubt it. Control is a game from a fairly well-known and fairly well-loved studio, even if it is admittedly a niche small studio. It did have a marketing push behind it, it had some interest, it had good buzz. It seems to be a good game. Admittedly, I don't know, I haven't played it, but from the impressions I got from the people who did play it, it seems to be, really interesting. Even if the PlayStation port is admittedly very flawed, by all metrics, it dramatically underperformed. There are many indicators that something weird happened here, and, well, honestly, I think it's because the game just wasn't available on Steam. Anyway, that should be enough for now. Thanks for watching.